Olympic and Asian game, it actually means that you're better in service innovation. Alright? So recently Malaysia football team actually beat Korea. So we have a chance, right, ladies and gentlemen? So gold medals for that, alright? And then, of course, very importantly, he's showcasing the whole idea about the drivers in service innovations. What are the things that drive service innovations? Basically, three things. One is the technological force, right? So you must understand the trend in technology, where are we moving, all right? Number two is social power. The third one is called cultural factors, right? So all these things will add in to drive service innovation. So the idea about service innovation at the end of the day is about how do you recreate new services, right, based on your existing model, right? I'm not asking you to reinvent the wheel. The idea is then how do you do it? Okay, so you can start it from three factors. If you hear about it, it's about intelligence, technology, digital technologies, as well as the mesh technology. So the whole idea behind that is very simple. I like the method. I like the AI new definition of artificial idiot, right? So I'm saying to you is that if we know how to use it, technology is a good friend, right? So how do you enhance that? And then of course we talk about digital technology. We talk about IoT again. We talk about user-centric kind of edge computing in that sense. We mentioned about ELISA, right? And mentioned about also how Tesla actually move on to this. And very importantly, we also talk about mesh technology. Mesh is about collaboration. Mesh, just imagine the web, the spider web, right? In that sense, how do we collaborate? Blockchain is one of them, of course. The other one that we can see is also event-driven, as well as the continuous adaptive of risk and trust, in that sense about behavior, right? So mesh technology is another very key thing. And when we look at social power, for all intents and purposes, I learned a very nice word today. It's called solo modal. If you don't know anything else, just remember solo modal, right? Solo means what? Social, location, mobile, data, right? So I think that is important because that actually showcases to us what's the power of the social power, because everything we do today, we need to move on for experiential, right? For experiential, then emotional. That's where we start with function, everything else. As you move up the value chain, we have to get experience. So we are human. Human love connection, right? That's why you can't help talking to your neighbor, you know, one way or another, even as we presenting on stage. Like I said, those are connections, very important. So in that case, they actually have a lot of example being said, the online celebrity, you know, whether you're good looking or you're funny, either way you also become online celebrity, right? And or the other thing is about group buying. You have example of Pinduoduo, and then about Mr. 486, which is very interestingly in Taiwan have the success model. And even we can see that, you know, those service things we're looking at even superior new services, even supplementary services that we see. I mean today, let's put it this way, I can tell you in Malaysia, convenience store do offer seats. Every convenience store, even mynews.com is about half the space is given up for all these interactive spaces, right? So we are saying to you that it is not just Family Mart, it's not just 7-Eleven, and even our local chain is doing that. So I think we can observe the trend here as well. So we can also see that, you know, we can see that how the whole thing starts with function, features, experience, and emotion. So at the end of the day, to us, everything is about emotion. Emotion is where you make more money. You understand? Huh? I'm still using my Apple because I love to let them make my money. Right? I know they make a lot of money out of me, but yeah, so what? Right? Because I'm emotionally attached, you know. Because they say an apple away, keep the doctor away. Right? So plenty of doctor here, but yeah, let's change. Okay, so and I think very importantly, these are things that we have learned from Professor Liang, right? So you can coin some question based on that. And next, I'm going to just summarize also Professor Hidaka's presentation this morning on the keynote. Actually, the title of it is Emergence of Science of Services in Japan. Basically, if you compare both the presenter, one is a little bit more big picture. Professor Hidaka is on Japan and how we started with this whole concept, and Professor Liang is more specific to the trend. Okay, so we look at it. I think he gave a very good attempt. At the end of the day, Professor Hidaka is trying to explain to you what service science is all about. Of course, then we say service science is the underlying logic of service innovation. So what's the different thing? So first of all, you need to have the science to support the innovation. So we must know the formula first, right? And of course, the tipping point was actually, he pointed out a very important thing where it all started. The word service science, where does it coin first? It's actually in a report in 2005 by the Competitive America, right? And the title of the report is called Innovate America, right? So if you read that, you'll see where is the foundation and where we start. Because the tipping point is 2005 onward, in that sense. And of course, if you look at, if there's a word computer for computer science, right? Knowing the importance in services in company like IBM, which you have shown with the example, and knowing that all the top countries in the world, right? The proportion of services are increasing over the years. So we can only say one thing, that computer science, service science, like I said, very importantly, we have to continue innovate in our service sector, right? That's 2008. And of course, we also look at very key thing about service science, one thing that cannot be lacking. We can talk about the technology, the business, and people and the organization. The most of the thing is the preservation of the knowledge. Where do we get the information? How do these three important factors share knowledge? That's the key factor in retaining and continuing innovation. Because what I've learned through my own understanding of Serviceology is how do you change the tacit to explicit, and then how do you translate the explicit to tacit again? And then you do it over and over and over again. That's why you have this whole concept of apprenticeship. Right? You go in, you learn, right? It's just like the Jedi and the Padawan, in Star Wars, right? They learn how to use the thing not just because they train them, because they also teach them the way of the Force, right? So in that sense, we also learn about some of the key development over the years about the fundamental values, the knowledge value, about the emotional value. And we have also seen some of the case study that actually show service innovation is very dynamic, right? You can see banking industry will have a different concept, the caring industry have a different concept, and the tourism industry would have a different concept. So it does not have one rule that actually fits all. You have to innovate based on your own business. You know your business the best. You know what your customer want. You give them what they want. If they don't know what they want, you tell them what they want. All right, and then they will give you back the value, right, for the long-term support. So as far as this is concerned, we can see that we can look at the structure, the mechanism of how we derive to the whole thing about service science and service innovation. We talk about the knowledge, right? We talk about how to implement it and use it, and how to embody it. That's more important, right? With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite on stage Professor Hidaka